Have you ever stood near a harbor, looked up at a massive cargo ship, and noticed one strangely specific detail? For something built to cross entire oceans, the color choice feels oddly deliberate. Above the water, the ship may look dark and clean, but below the waterline, so many of them wear the same deep red skin. Why red? Is it some kind of warning? A trick against sea life? Or just one of those old design choices no one ever bothered to change? The real answer is much better than that. Because the red bottom of a ship was never really about color. It was about survival. So today we're diving below the waterline to uncover the real story behind those red-painted ship bottoms. Let's get started right now on the Daily Why. To understand the red paint, we have to sail back a few centuries to the age of wooden ships. Back then, crossing the ocean was slow, dangerous, and full of things that could go wrong. And one of those problems did not come from storms, pirates, or enemy cannons. It came from the life in the sea itself. The moment a ship entered the water, things began attaching themselves to the hull. The algae, seaweed, barnacles, and in the age of wooden ships, shipworms that could slowly eat into the hull itself. This is known as biofouling. A few barnacles were not the issue. But when thousands of living organisms began building up across the bottom of a ship, the hull became rougher. That was a serious problem. It made ships heavier, and that meant more drag, less speed, worse maneuverability, and more strain on the vessel. A badly fouled ship could lose a huge amount of performance. In an era when speed could mean winning a trade route, escaping danger, or surviving a battle, that was no small problem. Ships did not just need to stay afloat. They needed to stay clean underneath. And that is where this story really begins. By the late 1700s, shipbuilders had found a clever answer. They began covering the bottoms of wooden ships with thin sheets of copper. And copper turned out to be incredibly useful in seawater. It created an environment that many marine organisms could not tolerate. Barnacles struggled to cling to it. Shipworms could not chew through it. The hull stayed cleaner, the ship stayed faster. That was a brilliant solution. But then, shipbuilding changed. As the industrial age took over, wooden ships began giving way to iron and steel hulls, and that created a new problem. In seawater, combining copper with iron or steel can cause those metals to corrode much more quickly, which can damage the hull over time. So, shipbuilders needed a new way to keep marine life off the hull without covering the ship in copper sheets. That led to anti-fouling paint. And this is the part that matters most. Many early anti-fouling paints used copper compounds, especially copper oxide, as the active ingredient. And copper oxide has a naturally rich, rusty red color. So the famous red bottom was not originally chosen because it looked bold, elegant, or iconic. It became red because the chemistry doing the protecting happened to be red. The color came from the coating, and the coating came from the fight against the sea. Now, here is the interesting part. Modern ship coatings have come a very long way. Today, anti-fouling paints can be made with different formulas, different performance profiles, and yes, different colors. So technically, ship bottoms do not have to be red anymore, and yet red stayed. Part of that is tradition. Shipping is one of those worlds where old habits do not disappear quickly, especially when they have worked for generations. A red bottom became one of those visual traditions that simply stuck. But tradition is only part of the reason. There is also a practical advantage. That sharp contrast between the upper hull and the red-painted lower section makes it easier to see where the ship is sitting in the water. And that helps the crew read important load markings, including the plimsoll line. The markings that show whether a ship is safely loaded or sitting too low in the water. So even after the old chemistry stopped being the whole story, the color still had a job to do. It remained useful, it remained familiar, and over time, it became part of what a ship is supposed to look like. So the next time you see a giant ship in the harbor, take another look at that red strip below the waterline. It is not there just to make the vessel look dramatic. It is the visible trace of a very old battle between human engineering and the sea. If you enjoyed this, leave a like, share any useful thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the Daily Why, so we can see each other again in the next video.